It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the third day of October 2022, coming to you from Bedford County, Central Virginia area. And we do have quite a bit to cover this morning. Pretty busy morning here, actually. Of course, Hurricane Orlene just made landfall within the last hour near Mazatlan. We're also going to take a look at the Ian Scorecard Viking celebration. Janine pulls out a JFK. The MSC Splendida's Red Sea Itinerary. And Royal Caribbean drops the mask requirements. That and a whole lot more here at 11 o'clock today. If you're listening via the podcast, welcome aboard. My apologies for yesterday. I did have a podcast yesterday morning as I was the only person around talking about Hurricane Orlene when she was a Category 4 storm. I had audio issues. It took me several hours to get the audio edited right, so we didn't have this big dead space in it. By the time I finally got it up, it just never got loaded into the podcast system. My apologies for that. We will cover that information this morning. But if you're listening via the podcast, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. All the big guys, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. Well, before I get to the landfall of Hurricane Orlene, we do have several things to go over this morning. One, our buddy Pete is on his first joint effort cruise with Passions for Cruises and Cruises for Solos. They have 300 solo travelers on the MSC Virtuoso. And this is just a shot of the first gathering of the solo cruisers. This was one of the other meetups. They're having all kinds of meetups. I'll give you Pete's report here in a second. And this is a shot from the dining room. Pete says it's our first joint venture with Passion for Cruises on board the Virtuoso. Great turnout for the solo meeting that last night. It was actually night before last now. We have a breakfast club meeting every morning at 8:30 at Minuetto Restaurant on deck 6 aft. Just ask for the solo tables. They do a coffee meeting in the morning at 10:30 every day in the Virtuoso Lounge, a bar, which is deck 6 midship, and a solo meeting at 5:30 every day in the L'Atelier bar, deck 6 midship. We also will be arranging meetups on deck 5 reception to walk off the ship together or share taxis for those who have various excursions planned. They've already formed the Passions for Solos quiz team, and I will be at L'Atelier at 9 p.m. every night for anyone who would like to enjoy the onboard entertainment. Please pop along to any of our hosted meetings to find out more. And at that time, they'd only been on the ship for a day. But congratulations to both Cruises for Solos. Of course, you guys know I am an administrator of that. And Passions for Solos. Man, that's terrific. A group of 300 solo cruisers on a single ship. That's the start of a whole change in the cruise industry, I have a feeling. All right, Sue and Barry pretty sure they're back home now. They did spend an extra day in Barcelona before they flew back. And it was just, boy, look at that sky. Just an absolutely gorgeous day in Barcelona. And they did something that I'm going to have to go to Barcelona to do. Sue and Barry got me on a cable car going up Mount Roberts, or similar to a cable car. They rode the cable car there in Barcelona. And just from the video that Sue posted of that, looking out over the city, I've got to go to Barcelona and ride that cable car. So that's in the future plans. Many of you know our buddy Janine. Janine is one of the world's greatest travel writers. For those of you that are new to this channel, she has made numerous appearances on this channel. And yesterday, Janine ran a marathon. And folks, she ran it in 4 hours and 26 minutes or something like that. I have invited her to come back on the show because she has some splaining to do. How did she do that with all the traveling she does around the world? And don't let her kid you. Janine will have a little adult beverage and a glass of wine, and she gets out and runs a marathon. And I want to ask, why? Congratulations to Janine on a job really well done. All right, I'll be back with the landfall of Hurricane Orlene after a quick word from one of our network sponsors. All right, this is what Orlene looked like as it was approaching landfall. And this literally, folks, was just an hour ago. Hurricane Orlene lost some punch, but remained a dangerous storm on Monday as it headed toward Mexico's northwest Pacific coast. After growing into a hurricane Saturday, Orlene quickly added power, became a Category 4 storm, but has started slipping on wind speeds today. It slipped back all the way to a Category 1 when it reached landfall. The landfall was between the tourist towns of Mazatlan and San Blas, very close to the border between the Mexican states of Nayarit and Sinaloa. The winds slipped back to Category 1 at hurricane about an hour ago. The landfall over southwestern Mexico was this morning. Forecasters expected the weakened hurricane to dump heavy rainfall and spread dangerous storm surge over parts of Mexico's coast. The storm already brought strong winds and drenching downpours toward Mexico as it neared the coast. Orlene is the Eastern Pacific's 9th storm of 2022. Satellite imagery indicated the landfall just north of the Nayarit and Sinaloa border. The maximum sustained winds are 85. The minimum central pressure is 980 and rising. It is moving to the north-northeast at 10 miles an hour. That's expected to continue for the next day or so. Rapid weakening is forecast as she moves ashore, and the system should dissipate by tomorrow. It's a fairly small storm, which is going to help us in the way of our cruise ships problems. But the hurricane force winds only extended about 15 miles from the center when it reached landfall. Tropical storm force winds extended about 90 miles. So it's about 45-ish miles to Mazatlan. So they got good, healthy tropical force winds. The storm surge is expected to be pretty rough along that entire part of the coast, and it's a major rain event. Isla Marias, it's actually a former prison colony, an island off the coast of Mexico. It's being turned into a tourist attraction. There are just a few government employees on the island, and it was a pretty direct hit, although all the buildings on the island are built of concrete and pretty sturdy. But Las Islas Marias could get up to 14 inches of rain total. Nayarit and southern Sinaloa up to 10 inches. Jalisco, Colima, and southwest Durango up to 5 inches. And of course, that could lead to plenty of flash flooding, possible landslide in the areas of rugged terrain. Dangerous storm surge is likely to cause coastal flooding along the entire coast in that area. And of course, the surf generated by Orlene will spread northward to the southern portion of Baja California Peninsula and the Gulf of California over the next day or so, which could cause life-threatening and rip current conditions. Now, the ports of Manzanilla and Puerto Vallarta were closed this morning to cruise ships. The ports, including Mazatlan, San Blas, and Nueva Vallarta, were closed to small craft also. Here are the locations of cruise ships as I know them that are in the general area of this storm. Serenade of the Seas and Disney Wonder were sailing toward Cabo San Lucas. I don't know if they will be able to land there or not today. They were sailing in that general direction. Carnival Panorama and Celebrity Solstice are sailing near Cabo. Royal Princess is in the Sea of Cortez, heading to Laredo, and they're supposed to be in Laredo today. Celebrity Millennium and the Diamond Princess are all at sea, just sailing to avoid the storm. So that's an update on Hurricane Orlene. I was glad to see that some of the major news folks finally started mentioning it today at landfall. I realized the seriousness of the situation in Florida, the seriousness of the situation in North Carolina and the Carolinas. But still, folks, you just can't ignore a Category 4 hurricane, as everybody did this weekend, except me. Even my competitors didn't even mention it, and yet it affected a lot of cruise ships. All right, here's the final scorecard from Hurricane Ian. As of today, it has killed 88 people, 76 people in Florida since it made landfall there. It is a Category 4 storm, decimating coastal towns and flooding homes. 4 others died in storm-related incidents as Ian churned into the Carolinas, and 2 died earlier the week in Cuba, making a total of 82 people officially at this point, and that could still go up. More than 1,600 people have been rescued in Florida. All right, this was a feel-good story over the weekend. Viking celebrated its anniversary, and it was actually pretty cool. They celebrated the 25th birthday this weekend with a historic gathering of 3 different types of cruise ships, an ocean ship, the company's newest expedition ship, and the Viking River longship met in Amsterdam to sail in convoy to Jamuden in the Netherlands. It was the first time that the 3 cruise ship classes met, which made for a spectacular sight as the three sailed down the North Sea Canal. The celebrations coincided with the official naming of the cruise line's first two expedition vessels, which of course is Viking Octantis, which is in the Great Lakes, and Viking Polaris, which is heading to the Great Lakes. MSC Splendida announced that it will enrich the Red Sea 7-night itinerary with MSC Splendida for the winter 2022-23 season, with 33 shore excursions available, including the addition of Cairo, Egypt, and 3 embarkation ports in Sokna Port, Safaga in Egypt, plus Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, and I'm probably murdering those names, folks. Splendida 7-night sailings call on Sakna Port, Safaga for Hurghada and Luxor, Egypt, Aqaba for Petra, Jordan, and Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, and Yambu, Saudi Arabia, the company said. The line also revealed a 9-night holiday experience under its fly and cruise program with a 2-night pre-cruise stay in Cairo before a 7-night voyage. So if you're over in that area and interested in that, boy, check with your local travel advisor for the Splendida's expansion in that part of the world. United Airlines is suspending service at New York's JFK Airport, saying its schedule there is too small to remain competitive. In a note shared with CNN Business, the airline said that the start of the winter season, when more airlines resumed flying to and from JFK, contributed to its difficult decision. United has been negotiating with the FAA to acquire additional slots or takeoff and landing authorizations at JFK, and has been advocating for the agency to update its assessment of the airport's capacity. But United said these improvements will take time. As for the airline's employees, United says that the 100 employees who work at JFK will not lose their jobs and instead be transferred to nearby locations. And finally, this morning, we do have some news from our friends at Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean has done away with their masking requirements. Here we go. All right. The much anticipated day in which Royal Caribbean crew members can stop wearing their mask on cruise ships at all times has finally arrived. From today, Royal Caribbean International and Celebrity Cruises crew can remove their masks in all guests and crew indoor and outdoor areas. The obligation for the crew to wear face masks is the latest COVID-19 measure to be relaxed as the cruise industry excuse me, continues on its path to normality. Now, I will say it'll be interesting to see how they handle this. Many of you remember I was on Norwegian when they announced removing their mask mandates, and only about a fourth of the crew were comfortable taking their masks off. Many of them have just got so used to it and felt much safer keeping the masks on. So it'll be interesting to see how Royal Caribbean handles it now that we are further along into this freedom of cruising philosophy. I mean, I've been very comfortable on many ships without the masks and long for the day when we would actually get rid of the mask on crew, because I know a lot of them hated it, but they just got so used to it after 2 years. So, all right, that's it for the news today. Let's go over and check and see who's with us in the chat room and who may or may not be fussing at me for a change. Mike's with us. Eddie's here. Yo, yo, yo from Mr. Brooklyn. Eddie's with us. Good morning there, Mr. Chillie. Thank you very much. Brooklyn in the house. Carol's with us. Hi, Carol. Lizzie's with us. Hi, Lizzie. How are you? I thought for some reason that you had been able to sneak your way on the ship with Pete. I was kind of hoping you would be there, but I'm sure glad with what Pete's been able to do with that. That's just awesome. Cindy's with us today. Good morning, Cindy. Of course, we enjoyed following you with you and the girls' exploits. I had some fun with everything you guys did. I may have made some fun of you, Cindy. I know that would be shocking. And I'm looking forward to sailing with you in less than a month now. Or are we past? We're less than a month now. So, Cindy had fun on the Mediterranean cruise, and unfortunately, now I have a post-cruise crud and sinus infection, not COVID. Well, that's a good sign that it's not COVID. Glad to hear that. Eddie says, good morning to everybody. Lizzie says, glad you had a great time. Katie's with us. Hi, Katie. Are you back home yet, or are you still at your sister's, Katie? Our Martin's with us. I really enjoy your channel. Thanks for the enlightening your audience. Thank you very much. By the way, R. Martin, what's your first name? If you could stick that in, I'd appreciate it so I could call you by something other than R. Martin. And I do remember that too sometimes. Like I remember Eddie's from Brooklyn, real easy. Nikki's with us in Jacksonville. Hi, Nikki. Dennis is with us. Hi, Dennis. Missed you this weekend. Michael Gale is with us. Good morning, Michael. Glad to have you on board today. Everybody saying good morning back and forth. The proper guidance is to continue wearing a mask. Yeah. I keep mine with me at all times, but I have just, on cruise ships, I got very comfortable very early. But that was in the days when everybody was vaccinated and boosted, and you didn't have the folks that were non-vaccinated. Now, admittedly, if you aren't vaccinated, you've got to test before you get on board. But yeah, there's still things. I could see times, especially on, like the last ship I was on was very crowded, that there were times indoors where I was comfortable putting the mask back on. But we'll see what happens with crew now that they don't have to. Rich Martin. Okay, Rich, thank you very much. Now, I'll call you Rich. So good to have you with us anyway. But anyway, I was comfortable, very comfortable early on without mask. I was actually pretty comfortable even on Symphony with what was it? 6,600 people total. And yeah, I just used it a couple of times, but I was still pretty comfortable. Again, I've had the third booster now, so I've had 5 total. If I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. That's all. And yeah, I have issues that would possibly make it more severe, but still, yeah, I know it's a tough subject. On our way to get COVID back. Yeah, that's right. Nikki's third booster is today. Glad to hear you're getting that, Nikki. Cindy made a healing ginger turmeric tea. Oh, wow, that sounds good. Steep fresh peeled chopped ginger in a cup of hot water for 12 to 15 minutes. Add a teaspoon to tablespoon of ground turmeric. Fresh juice of 1 lemon, honey to sweeten. I have heard of that before. I've never done that before or had it done for me, either one. But what a good idea, Dennis. Thank you. Drink 4 cups of ginger turmeric tea throughout the day. Do not buy the branded ginger teas. They don't work. Okay. If you are in U.S. Trader Joe's, has organic ground turmeric. All right. We've learned something. Dennis is always an interesting wealth of information. So I appreciate that, Dennis. Thank you very much. All right, that's going to wrap me up for today, folks. It's because I keep forgetting to do this on a lot of shows. If you're new to this channel, we always appreciate thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when I go live or when I post a new video. And I'm doing a lot of posting now, folks. I'm posting a lot to not only YouTube Shorts, but also to Instagram and TikTok. So we're trying to build up the numbers. Chillie, that tea is amazing. Heals a lot of lung and throat issues. I will try that. And Eddie says, good day, everyone. All right, guys, I'll see everybody back here tomorrow, same time, same place, 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time for Tuesday Travel and Cruise Industry News. For the rest of the day, you guys have a fantastic day. And as always, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon, we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a fantastic day, everybody. See you tomorrow.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.